So if you tell me what you were doing. Gladys.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking. I didn't know I've muted.
Please,
Yeah.
please tell me what you were doing, and then we can
Okay,
resolve
so
that.
what I was trying to do was from the replay, what you did, getting the how you were able to get the employee from the employee ID, you're able to get the name of the person on the pay reports, how you got the name and how you got the last name. So I was trying to do all those, but I couldn't.
So okay, take me through your steps. What did you do first?
So the first thing I did was can I remember again? I did.
Okay, let me do it again.
Yes.
So if you start with equal to. Yeah. Open a bracket. V lookup. Oh, what's happening? There's feedback.
V lookup.
Sorry, not open a bracket. We're not opening a bracket yet. So if we do equal to V lookup, then we now open a bracket. So I think we need to mute. So if you're not talking, please can you mute? Okay, so V lookup, and then our lookup value. Can you see this lookup value that is highlighted?
Yes.
We're going to use this as our lookup value, which is the employee ID. So I'm going to click on that and then do a comma. And then it's going to ask me for my table. So I need to select my table, making sure that my employee ID is on the first column. Can you see the way I selected the table? And then comma. And it's asking us what column index number do we need from this table? This table has 3 columns, our selection.
Yes.
We're looking for first name, so it's the 3rd column. So it would be 3. And then another comma, and we want an exact match, which is false. So you can just put in false and close the bracket.
Now, please, how did you get false?
False is you have to either put true or false. So I'm going to delete that false. So once you put a comma,
yes,
can you see that he has brought the 2 options out for you to choose one? So yes, you either put a true or a false. A false means you want an exact match. You don't want it to look for something close to it. And a true means use something close to it. So in this case, we want a false.
Okay.
So you can double click this false to get it and close your bracket, or you can type it in and then enter. And then it will bring it in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it brought Brad.
Yeah, which is the first name for this employee with this ID 990678, which is here.
Yes.
If we're doing last name, we're going to do it again. Equal to. Can you help me out?
VLOOKUP.
VLOOKUP.
Bracket.
Open a bracket.
Open a bracket.
Lookup value.
So that's our lookup value. Click on the lookup value.
J4. Yeah.
Yeah. Comma.
Select the table. Comma.
We'll select the table, making sure that what we are looking up is on the first column. Very important. And then comma. What's our column index for the last name?
2.
2. Comma.
False.
False. Close the bracket.
Close the bracket. Enter. That's right.
Can you see there's nothing mathematical about this, unless counting the column is mathematical, which is not. So this is not math at all. It's just you're just looking at something, like trying to find something using a field. So as long as you put it in the way it wants it to be in, then it will work.
Nah, it didn't work for me. I missed something.
Do you know what you missed now from looking at it again?
Let me look at it again.
Okay.
Equal to VLOOKUP.
Yeah, VLOOKUP, your lookup value, your table, your column number, and your true or false. So if you try and do it again on your laptop,
yes,
and see what
yeah.
Sorry, Kemi, how do we get this D20? Sorry.
So D20 was when we selected our table. If you look at B3 to D20, that's our table, B3 to D20.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's just referring to our table.
Okay.
And please don't type it in, just always select what you need.
Yeah.
Oh, so do I have to select what I need?
Yeah, are you typing it in?
Yes, I'm typing.
No, you're not meant to type. Look at the way we did it.
Because when I select, it's not going there. That's the thing.
Maybe you did not put a comma before selecting.
After VLOOKUP, then I open the brackets.
Yeah.
Lookup value comes out.
Wait, I'm going to delete this. So you said equal to, you did VLOOKUP.
Yes.
You opened the bracket, okay?
Yes.
Okay, and the lookup value, what did you do?
Lookup value. I'm trying to click on that link, but
so
it's
click
not.
Click on J4.
J4. J4. Okay.
And then comma.
Comma. Yeah.
Select, and then select the table.
Select the table. Yes.
And then comma.
Comma.
And put in your column number, which is 3.
No, for the last name is 2.
For the last name is 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And then comma.
Comma. Yes.
And then what do we do after that?
False.
False. And then close your bracket.
Yeah.
So I think I have a hand up. Someone wanted to say something.
Okay, Pete. Yeah.
Did that work?
It worked, Pete.
Okay. Yeah. So please practice it. Did someone raise their hand or?
Because I put 2, it should be the last name. Okay. I'll try it again.
Okay, I have 2 people raising up their hands, please. So because I'm sharing, I can't really see the people raising their hands. So if you want to say something.
Taiwo and Bode.
This is Bode. I just want to ask, how did you get 2 or 3 for the first and last name, please?
How did I get what?
2 or 3 for the first and last name.
So the first and last name, if you look at this table here,
table.
How many columns do we have on this table?
We have 3 columns.
We have 3 columns. Where is the last name on this table?
It's on the second column, yes.
Which is 2. Yeah. That is why we have 2 here.
Thank you.
Where's the first name on this table is on column 3. That's why we have 3 here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
This time,
okay.
Can we use VLOOKUP instead of XLOOKUP? And also, what is the difference between the VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP?
So VLOOKUP, they do the same thing. It's just the way the table is set up and what you're trying to bring in. So for VLOOKUP, if you look at it, it's looking up the columns. That's what VLOOKUP is doing. XLOOKUP, on the other hand, is looking up the rows. So XLOOKUP, this is XLOOKUP. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
So XLOOKUP is looking up the rows. So XLOOKUP, we have employee ID, and we want to bring in the department. So it's looking up the rows, and VLOOKUP is looking up the columns. But they work the same way. It's just the way it's looking it up. So XLOOKUP is horizontal lookup, and vertical, the VLOOKUP is vertical lookup.
Okay, they work in the same way because I have not learned on XLOOKUP, although I use VLOOKUP very well.
Yeah, VLOOKUP is more common.
For my company.
Yeah,
but
VLOOKUP
I
is.
didn't use the XLOOKUP.
So if you know, yeah, if you know how to use VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP is just the same way, but it's just the way you are looking up the data. So there are some cases where your data is laid out like this, and you have to look up the rows, which is what XLOOKUP is doing.
Oh.
And when you have it laid out like this, you can't really use VLOOKUP because you need the information on the rows, not on the column.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And just a quick one for the XLOOKUP, exactly the same way, equal to XLOOKUP. We open a bracket, we select our lookup value, comma, we select our table, making sure that lookup value is on the first row, comma. In this case, we are looking for department. So department is on 1, 2, 3 on that table. So it will be 3, and then comma, false, and close the bracket and enter. So it's exactly the same thing. It's just the way you are looking it up. Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So on our VLOOKUP, I go to this. Are we looking at VLOOKUP on my screen, or is this still XLOOKUP?
VLOOKUP.
VLOOKUP.
If you remember when we did VLOOKUP, if our table selection, if we don't start with that lookup value on the first column of the table, it doesn't work, right? So the question is, if, for instance, if instead of our table being set up like this, if our last name if the last name is Air, for instance, so if this is the way our table is set up, and we have employee number, and we have employee ID, can we bring in the last name Air? Is it possible using VLOOKUP?
Yes, it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
how do we do it?
We're just going to change the column number.
We're going to change the column number. Okay, let's try. Let's
we
try.
use the column number, yeah.
Equals to VLOOKUP.
Okay, equals to VLOOKUP.
Yes.
Bracket open.
Open a bracket.
Lookup value.
Lookup value. Select, yeah, case. Let's select the table now.
Select the table. Okay.
Yeah, highlight the table.
Okay.
Comma.
Comma.
And then
that'll be 1.
Column index.
Column index is 1.
Column index is 1. Comma.
Comma. False.
False.
Close bracket.
And enter.
No.
Why did it not work?
Because it didn't start first.
The lookup value is not in the first column.
Yeah, because the lookup value is not in the first column.
It's in the second column.
It's in the second column, but it's looking up, your lookup value is looking at the first column. So what your formula is doing is looking at this first column here where the last name is. It's looking for this 990678, and it can't find it there. So definitely it's not going to work.
So do you just change the 1 to 2?
If you change the 1 to 2, it will still not work. You can't use the VLOOKUP for. You can only look up values to the right. Okay. If the value is on your left, you won't be able to look it up. So you have to use another formula. So in this case, we're going to have to use index and match to find this. So once you have your table, I mean, you can always say, oh, okay, I would move this from this table. I'll move it to this side. While you can do that, but at the same time, you can also mess up your data by doing that. And we're only practicing with very little data. You know, you have massive data that you can't just move like that. Otherwise, you would, you know, number one, you might not even be able to change the data. And number two, you can corrupt the data by doing that. So you don't want to do that. So you want to use something appropriate to pick that information that you need. And that is where we're going to go to index and match. I'm going to put I'm going to put the file we're going to use in the chat now. Okay. So let me open the file. Can I check if can we see my screen? Did my screen change? Okay, new share. I need to share that. Yeah.
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. It should have changed now to something different. So this is the data I just sent. So I have this data from a company, salesperson. I have a sales ID. And my question is on this side. I need to bring in a salesperson. So I have a sales ID, which is on column H. I need to bring in a salesperson, which is on column G. And I need to bring in the country, which is on column D. So in this case, you can see that all the data I need, they're on the right, they're on the left side. Yeah, they're on the left side of my lookup data. So I won't be able to use VLOOKUP. So I need to use index and match or XLOOKUP. Okay. We're going to start with index and match. XLOOKUP is quite new. If you don't have the latest Excel, you might not have that function. But we'll start with index and match, which is what we would use if it is laid out like this. So index and match is another form of lookup. So what you are saying, instead of like one formula where we use VLOOKUP, we're combining two. So we're using index and we're using match. And I'm going to just take it in bits so you understand it. So if you look at this salesperson ID here, 75611, I'm going to highlight it here so you can see what I'm doing. So I've highlighted it in yellow. So the first thing I'm going to use is a match. And what the match does is it would find where that information is on that column, on that table. It will look for the position of that information. So if you look at this here, on my table, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is in row 11 on that table. So what I'm going to use match to bring in is that 11. I want to know the position of that information. So it would be equal to, and I'm going to use the match. I would open a bracket. If you look at it, it's very similar to the lookup. So it's looking for a lookup value, which is this, and then comma, and it's looking for a lookup array, which is, I'm just going to select this, my column here. That's what I will do. I want the whole column selected. And then comma. And then if you look at it, it's giving me options again. Do I want less than? Do I want exact match? Or do I want greater than? I want an exact match. So which is 0. And close the bracket, enter. Can we see what it has done? It's brought in 11. If you remember when we counted, it's on row 11. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is that information. So it's brought in 11. And what index will now do is, you will now use index to say, you know, anything on row 11, bring me this column. So you can literally use, once you find what you want, the match, you can use index to bring in anything on this row 11. So in this case, we want to bring in the salesperson. So what I would do is, we know it's on 11, right? I'm going to move this country. I'm going to move this to the side. Okay. So I will say equal to index, open a bracket, and then we want the table. So I want this table. I'm going to select the old data, the old table. So that's the old table, comma. On this table, where is our salesperson? No, before we go to the salesperson, we know that the salesperson we're looking for is on 11, right? It's on row 11. So I can either type that out. The first thing I'll do, I'll type the 11, okay? Or instead of typing 11, I'll just click this 11 because that's what we want, comma. And then what column is the salesperson on this table? The salesperson is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, column 6. So I'll put 6, I'll close the brackets and enter. Can you see what it has brought in? It has brought in Christopher Cressel, who has the salesperson ID. So I did my match first, and then I did the index. Is that clear?
Yes, that's it.
Sorry, for the match,
not really.
Why did you select 0? I just want to.
Sorry, say that again.
For the match, when you're doing your match, the match.
Yeah, the match.
Yeah, why did you select 0?
Which 0? Oh, this 0. Because there are only 3 options. Okay, let's use if we use equal to, let's use the function box. Let's bring out the function box. Okay. Our lookup value is this. Our array is I'm just selecting
first name,
the column where the ID is. So I've just selected this column. That's where my ID is. That's where I need to look up that ID. And then the match type.
This is where I'm going.
Would show you what to, so 0 is the exact match. That's the option for exact match, which is why I have 0 here. So it's just like when we use false, when we're doing VLOOKUP. In this case, it's 0. 0 is the exact match. Okay. And okay. And that is 11.
Okay. But at what point to use -1 and
honestly, I've never used -1 or plus, or the other one, I think it's plus 1, but it would not be an exact match because 0 is the exact match. So if we use, it will probably look for something close to it if you can't find it. Okay. If you use the other options. Okay. I think it will work like the true, where it will find an approximate. Yeah. If you can't find it. But in this case, we want the exact thing, which is why we're using 0. Oh. And then the index. So the index is, we're saying we have a lookup value. We already know that our lookup value, what we're looking up, is on row 11 of this table. And that's because we've used that match to find where the position of that thing, the row. And then we'll add that to our index. And we're basically picking the table, selecting the table, and then putting the row, and then selecting the column we want that information to come from. So that is index, that's the index. So when we do index and match, what we are doing is we are going to combine these two formulas into one. The way we've done it twice. So we've split it out. We did the match first. We did the index first, second. When we do index and match, we will combine the two into one formula. If you notice, when we did this, this Q6 here, that Q6, that is our match formula. That is the match here. So what we're going to do is, instead of this Q6, we're going to put in that match formula there. So it would be match, open a bracket. We click on our lookup value. It's already prompting us. Lookup value, comma, on the sales ID, that's where we want, comma, and we know our exact match is 0. 0, and then we close the brackets and then enter. So what we have done is we have combined the index and the match. Does that make sense?
No.
So we have nested the match formula into the index. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. So for this one, let's do this. 43157. So this one is this one here. I'm going to highlight that. Okay. So equal to, the formula starts with index. Even though I did a match first, it was just to explain how it works. So you do equal to index. When you start with index and open a bracket, what are the options there? What's the next thing we need to do? I know there are two options there. The array,
table,
which is our table.
We're looking at.
So we'll select our table, okay? I'll select the table all the way down. So I've selected the table, then comma. Our row number. What's our row number? What row are we looking for?
4.
How do you know we are looking for 4?
Counting from J001.
So if this if 4, if it's not, you have a table that is 65,000 rows, how would you know where that is? You can't count.
Row 6.
No, it's not row 6. The main thing is that we cannot count the rows. So we need a formula to give us that row number. And that formula is the match formula. So it's like you're starting with index, and then you're just packing it by the side, and then trying to get your row number. So we now do a match formula to get that row number. So what we'll do is, you will see that once I type my match, it would know that I'm trying to do another formula in this. So if we type in match and open a bracket, and you see that the options it's giving me is the match formula options. So right now, my index is by the side, but I need the row number because I cannot start counting one by one. So I need the row where this sales ID is. So my lookup value is this, comma. My lookup array is the column where that's, yeah. So I'm going to select that column all the way down. And then comma. And what option do I have after this comma? I want an exact match. So I can double click this or just type 0 in and then close the bracket. Once I close the bracket, it knows that I've finished my match formula. And then it's back to index. And then it's asking me, now that I have the row, I have my table, I have the row number, what column do you want me to bring in from this table? And the column to bring in is a salesperson. So if we look at our table, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will be column 6. And then we close the bracket and enter. And that is Mark. So what we've done is we've typed it in together. You will need to practice this to get it. At the beginning, you can start with your match and just do it the way we did it the first time. Paradise.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I want to know the way we did this match to find the row number.
Yeah.
Is there any way of finding the column number? Because if it's like a very large table, is there any option?
Finding the column number.
Like, finding the particular column. Yeah, like the one we just did now. Yes, the 6 we just typed now. No, the very last thing we did.
Yeah, but no. But if you for this 6, if it's a very large table, you mean like lots of columns?
Yes.
Yeah, you can actually do something like this. You can number your columns.
Okay.
So if it's like a large, you can number your columns. If you number your columns like this, and what you can do instead of counting, so where we have 6 here,
yeah,
I can just click here, and you get the same thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if it's a large table, if you are doing the VLOOKUP or something, you can number your columns. I mean, many times if you don't number your columns, you find yourself, trying to like calculate what number that column is. If it's a very large table, sometimes you have tables up to ZZ, DD, and then you're trying to like use different options, but it's always just number the columns.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Do we have any hand up?
Yes, please. Are all lookup value J4?
No, is this one J4? No, it's wherever your lookup ID is. Look at this. This one is 06. This one is H2. This one is 07. So it's wherever your ID is. So J4 was just where the one for that VLOOKUP we did, the one we did, the data for VLOOKUP. Okay. So it will always be where your lookup value is. Okay.
No, I don't get, please.
Okay, what do you not get?
Lookup value. You know, where the first one you taught us for just the VLOOKUP.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one you used, you said instead of writing lookup value, we can write J4.
No, I didn't say you can write J4.
Okay.
I said you always have to click on your lookup value. Don't type it in. Always click on it. Let's do this.
And what if you can't click?
There's no way you won't be able to click.
Mine doesn't click to add.
Maybe you're not putting a comma. If you don't put a comma, then it doesn't know that you're doing something else. There's no way. You have to be able to click.
After VLOOKUP, I'm sorry, I'm taking you back. After VLOOKUP, then you open brackets.
Yeah, you open bracket, and then you click on your lookup value.
Okay.
So it's like if you do equal to VLOOKUP, you have to be able to click on what you want.
Yeah, I get you now.
Okay. So in this case, it's not J4, it's 08.
Okay. Yes, I get you now. Thank you.
Okay. So it's always better to click on it, avoid typing it in. Otherwise, it's prone to errors. So are we comfortable with index and match?
I have a question.
Okay.
How do we select the array? Because if the table is a large one, how do we select it? Because
if the table is a large one, if you want to select a large table, so if you click, so you can literally click and use your your shift and control button. If I select this, okay, if you press down your shift and your control button and your down arrow, it selects it all the way down. If you want to select to the side, if I click this, my shift and control button with my side arrow, it will select it to the side. And then my down arrow selects it all the way down. So that's the way to select. Use your shift and control button and your down up side arrows, depending on what you're selecting. As long as there's no space within your table, within that selection, because if there's a space, then it will stop at the space. So always make sure you check that it has selected everything that you want selected. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So please rewatch the index and match and just practice it. If your values are to the right, you can always use a lookup. But if it's not to the right, then you need to use index and match. So now to my favorite one, that is XLOOKUP. And if you have XLOOKUP takes away all this, all the issues with VLOOKUP, the issues with the index and match. XLOOKUP is the main thing that solves all this. So to use XLOOKUP, I'm going to delete that. Okay. So XLOOKUP, like all the others, it starts with equal to XLOOKUP, open a bracket, and then it's asking us for the lookup value. As usual, what's our lookup value? We click on 06. And then comma. And then it's asking us for our table. What table are we using? We're using this table here. And we're just going to select it all the way down using a Control Shift and down button.
Down button.
Control Shift and down keys.
Down
and then comma. And you know when we're doing VLOOKUP, it's at this point that we'll start counting the column to put the column that we want. But in this case, it's just asking you, you just go and select the column you want it to bring. So we just need it to bring in the salesperson. So I'm just going to select that and then close the bracket and enter. No, that did not work. What happened? What did we do? That was wrong. What did we do that was wrong? Let's see.
No false.
No, it doesn't use false or true. It doesn't like something. Let's see. What does it not like? Let's start with maybe a table selection. Nope. Oh, now I know what it doesn't like. It was the first selection. Okay, let's do that again. Equal to X lookup, a lookup value, comma, and where it's looking this up is looking up is a selection that was incorrect. So it's looking up, we need to select the column that is looking up. So it's looking at this column, comma, and then we want it to bring in this column and enter. Did we see that?
Yeah.
I'll do it again. Equal to X lookup. Our lookup value is this, comma. Where are we looking up the sales ID? We're looking it up from on this column here. So we select the column here.
Okay.
That's the column. And then comma. And what do we want it to bring?
Salesperson.
Salesperson. So we select that. And then we close the bracket.
Bracket.
Can you see how much simpler that is?
Yes.
So if you have XLOOKUP, you don't even need to use VLOOKUP or index and match. Well, XLOOKUP is relatively new. So if you don't have a latest version of Excel, you might not have that functionality. So let's do for country. Let's do for country. Equal to
XLOOKUP.
XLOOKUP.
Open bracket.
Open bracket.
So, sales ID.
Sales ID, which is our lookup value.
Lookup value, yeah. Comma.
Comma. Where are we looking this up?
Column H.
Column H, salesperson. Yes.
Column H.
Select
comma.
Comma.
And then
salesperson. Country. Sorry.
Country. So country is
D. Yeah. Column D.
Yeah. And then we'll close the bracket and enter. And that's Peru. Who is in? So Christopher Cressel should be from Peru. Okay, we have 2 hands up. Please go for it.
Yeah. Hello, Kemi.
Hello. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. When you're selecting the country, do you just select the colon, or you have to still do the shift control down key to select all colon?
You can select because I don't have any. You can actually select the column. I don't have any. There's nothing stopping you from selecting the whole column. Okay. So you can do equal to X lookup. Look up the value, comma, and I can select the whole column here.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes. You can select,
comma. Yes. Yeah, you can select the whole column.
Okay.
And then select the whole column of country. Yeah, makes it easier.
So yeah, so you don't need to just select only.
No, you don't need to just select that table. You can select the whole column.
Yes, that's what I wanted to actually. Yeah. Okay. That makes it more easier, isn't it?
Yeah, it is easier.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So that's really I hope everyone can do XLOOKUP now, because it's just really, it makes it very simple. Just your lookup value.
Straightforward. Yeah.
The column you're looking up, and then just bring in the column you want. So it takes away all the counting of column, trying to do index and match. No, this is really good. Okay, we have 2 people raising up their hands.
Hello, Kemi. Thank you.
Okay.
For the return array, which column are we supposed to get the value from?
Whatever information you're looking for. So because we're looking for country, that was why we picked this. When we're looking for salesperson, we pick this column. Okay. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it depends on the information you're looking for. If you're looking for store, for instance, you pick this column. So if we're looking for store for this person, it will be equal to XLOOKUP,
open bracket,
open bracket, your lookup value,
lookup value,
comma, select where you want it to look up, comma,
okay,
and then we're looking for store.
C, colon C.
Yeah, close the bracket, and that's it. And that's Lima.
Lima.
Yeah, okay. So that's it.
Straightforward.
So it's whatever, yeah, it's very straightforward. It's wherever you want the information to come from. There's no counting or anything. There's no false or true or anything like that.
It makes life easier.
Yeah.
But I want to.
XLOOKUP is the best.
Okay. So should we? Okay, we have more people with hands raised. Okay, please go for it. I can't really see who's raising hand, so you have to talk.
Okay. The phrase you did, the one you were phrasing.
Yeah, the one
yeah. Apply to this.
Freezing applies to everything, but the good thing is because we selected the whole column, we don't have to freeze this unless you are moving it to the side. So if I drag this down, for instance, if I drag this all the way down, I don't have to freeze it. It's when you're dragging to the side that you have to freeze it. So if we want to drag to the side, you're going to have to freeze it. So you are freezing the column is looking at. And the main thing you just do for freezing is you put a $sign in front of your, whatever you want to freeze. You just put a $sign either in front of the row, in front of the column, or in front of both of them. Or you can use your function F4 to freeze. So freezing applies to everything. If you want to drag the formula, if you want to drag that and you don't want it to move from your selection, always freeze it.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, you know, you can drag, you don't have to retype this formula, you can drag it anywhere. Just make sure you freeze it so it doesn't move before you drag. Make sure you freeze what you need to freeze so it doesn't move. So for this one, for instance, for the Peru, if you freeze this, if you freeze your table, you can freeze your table. And if you want to freeze this, you only need to freeze the column for this. Because if you freeze the row, then when you drag it down, it will not apply to this. So if we freeze the row here, and if I drag that down, it would only be referencing this, and I want it to reference this. So always remember that when you're freezing. Just think of what you're going to do, why you need to move, where you need to move that formula to, and what you need to freeze, what you need to keep constant.
How do you freeze?
You freeze by putting a $, in front of your row or your column, just like here. So for air, we have a $, in front of the H. What it means is that anywhere you put this formula, it will always reference the H column. And we have the $, in front of the D. So anywhere you put it, it would always reference that D column. Okay. can we move on to something else? Oh, let's look at some if functions. We'll look at some if functions and then we'll end it there today. I'll put something else in the chat box. So if function. You sure? I'm sure we've come across if function. If function is like a logical function. So what you're saying is if some conditions are met, do this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you might need to use if function. If you remember, when I said VLOOKUP, when we use VLOOKUP, your values has to be unique. You know that your lookup value has to be unique. If it's not unique, then you can't use the VLOOKUP function because what it's going to bring to for you is not going to be correct because it just looks for the first one that it finds and then brings it in. Whereas you might have like 5 of those items. To go around that, you might need to use an if function because what if you can actually create a statement that if you find all this, add it all up for me. If you find all these IDs, add up all the, all their sales. So you can actually create an if statement to do that. And we're going to start with a simple, if function. So this table here, I have a table of kids with their ages. And there's a Christmas party. And you only want to give kids that are younger than 10 Christmas gifts. So they've all they've all registered for this, maybe Santa Claus or something, or Secret Santa, or whatever it is. But whenever they come to see Santa Claus, the only person you want to give a gift to is anyone younger than 10. So you have a data of their names and their ages, and you want to know how many gifts you need to provide for that particular occasion. So you use the if function to find out who is eligible for Christmas gifts. And it's simply going to be if this person is younger than 10, then they get a gift. Otherwise, they don't have a gift. So it's as simple as, the way you're saying it. So it's going to be equal to if, open a bracket. Then it will ask you for your logical test. I'm saying if this, which is the age, is less than 10. So we know if that age is less than 10, comma, what do I want to do? I want to put a yes. I want that person to receive the gift. So I'll type in yes, comma. Otherwise, if they are not, then no gifts. And then close my bracket. And then it looks at this and sees that 5, of course, is less than 10. So it's a yes. And they get a gift. I'm going to do that again using the function box. So if we do equal to if, I'll open a bracket. I'm just going to click. I mean, you don't have to type it into, but it's always faster if you type your if in, then it gives you the function argument. So the logical test is if this here is less than 10. If this statement that you've made, C4 is less than 10, if it is true, then it's a yes. If it is false, it's a no. And okay. Is that clear? So that's a simple if statement. If this is less than 10, yes. Otherwise, no. And of course, you know that once we type the formula in once, we can always drag it down. And we can see that 14 is a no, 15 is a no, Kate is a yes, Kate is 8, Kim is a no, Kim is 10, but wants kids younger than 10. So you ask me, what if you want to do kids that are either 10 or younger? Then you need to use an if-or statement. Is that clear before I move on?
Yes, for me it's clear.
Okay.
Yes, I think
so we want to see, okay, we're saying if either they are younger than 10 or 10. In this case, we want to now include the 10-year-old. If you see here, Kim is 10 and Kim is not eligible here because we said it's for people who are younger than 10. And then we're now saying that either you're 10 or younger, you should get a gift. So in this case, Kim should get a gift. And in this case, we're going to use the if-or function. So it would be if you are 10 and if you are younger than 10. So if we'll start with or. If we do equal to, or we can even start with if. If we do if, and then open a bracket. No, I did not start with my equal to, so it doesn't know I'm putting in a formula. So our function now is going to be or. I want to do two things. I'm going to say or if this is less than 10, comma, or this is equal to 10. That is my first statement. So it's either of these two. If it is true, then is a yes for gifts. Otherwise, it's a no. Enter. So what we've done is we've added two statements together. We've used the or function to say is either you're 10 or you're less than 10, then you get a gift. So what you're basically saying is if you're less than 10 or 10, you get a gift, otherwise no. And if we now drag this down, we'll see that Kim now gets a gift because Kim is 10. Here, Kim does not get a gift. So to use the function box, if sometimes when you need to do this, you might want to do it in bits. So for instance, if you start with equal to or, this is less than 10, comma, this is equal to 10. If you start with that statement, it will show you it is true. So if you now want to add your if to this, you're saying you're going to put your if in front of this. If, open a bracket, this bit here is already true. So when it's true, comma, yes, comma, otherwise, no. And you basically done the same thing. Is that clear? Sometimes you might need to practice. Sometimes you might need to put it in different columns to achieve what you want. And sometimes you might need to tweak it a bit.
This is two testing.
Sorry. Is someone asking a question?
Happy apostrophe. I want to ask a question.
When? Do you want to ask a question? Okay, let's go on.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I want to ask a question.
Okay.
This, I've forgotten it.
If function.
No. The yes.
The yes, yeah.
That this.
The double, the quote, yeah.
If you don't put it.
If you don't put it, it won't work.
Oh.
Because what you're saying is to bring that, so you don't want that to change.
Okay.
If you don't put that in, it won't work. If you notice, when we use the function box, okay. When we use the function box, our function box is or this less than 10, comma, this equal to 10. When the value is true, when you use a function box, you don't have to type that in. You don't have to type the double, I think it's like a quote.
Column, double column, double column.
Double column. You don't have to type it in when you use a function box.
Okay.
It would add it in. Can you see that it's added it itself?
Yes, that's right.
But when you're typing it all out without using a function box, then you need to put that. Otherwise, it would not work. So it will put it itself when you use a function box. If you type it in and don't use this, if you take this off, your formula, it won't work. So you have to add that in. It will be correct.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's if or. The next one is if and. And if and is basically just like if or. But in this case, or is either this or this. And is this and this. This condition and this condition must be met for this to be true. So we're looking for kids younger than 10 years old and in Apple class. So if they're not in Apple class, they don't get a gift, even if they're younger, even if they're younger than 10. So we're going to use the if and function. And the first thing we'll do, we can start with the and. Equal to and.
Equals to and.
Open a bracket.
Okay.
What would be our first logical? If we start with the age, it should be this. We said younger than 10. That should be younger than 10. Right?
Okay.
That's our first logical statement. Comma.
Comma.
And our second logical statement is the class has to be Apple.
Yes.
So it will be this equal to Apple. Right? That is our statement. That is our first logical statement. You have to be less than 10 and you have to be in Apple class. If I enter this now, it will be false because Tommy is 5. Even though Tommy is less than 10, Tommy is not in Apple class. So that will be a false. So that's our first logical statement. And we're now saying that if these two conditions are true, then you get a gift. So I'll add my if in front. If these two conditions are true, you get a gift, which is yes.
Or no.
Or no.
No.
And then enter. So Tommy does not have a gift. If you drag this down, the only person that gets a gift is Grace, who is 2 and who is in Apple class. Kim is 10 and in Apple class. So Kim is not younger than 10. And when you build this statement, you can literally build like lots of statements. So it would be checking every condition that you've put. Is it true? Is it true? So you find some formula that are quite big with all these if functions. But if we look at it, you can, by knowing this, you can actually follow the formula logically to see what it is doing. You sometimes you might need to, like, something might be wrong with your formula, but you don't understand the formula to actually to be able to correct it. So by knowing that you have logical statements, you can actually follow it one by one to see what it's doing, and you'll be able to correct it. I have 3 people raising up their hands. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Kemi. So how did you arrive at false at the first place, or why did you arrive at false, the first false?
Okay, look at our condition here.
Yes.
What's our condition?
Younger than 10 and in upper class.
Okay, so we're looking for kids who are younger than 10 and in apple class.
Yes.
Tommy is 5 and in cherry class. Is that a false or a true?
A false.
It's a false. That was how we arrived at the false.
Okay. Okay.
So in this case, we are trying to satisfy 2 conditions. Has to be younger than 10 and must be in apple class. That's why we used and.
Okay.
Which is why we use and here.
So quickly, so which means Grace in 2, Grace that is younger is 2 and in upper class will be true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Because I noticed that you didn't type in the false or the true, it just came out automatically.
That was because I did it here. So if I do equal to and
yeah,
open a bracket,
open a bracket.
My first logical is
2.
Is that has to be
yes,
less than 10, right?
Comma.
And my second logical statement is
in apple,
this class
has
to be equals
to
apple.
Okay.
If I only type this and enter, it will be true.
Oh, fabulous. Okay.
But I had to add the if statement to it. So it is true. Yes, it's true. So what do you want? What do you want to do with the true? That is now when you now bring in the if statement. If it is true, if this is true, it might be that if this is true, do this.
Do this.
Yeah.
Receive the gift. Yes. Okay.
So if we say, okay, if this is true, comma, what I want it to do is receive
gift. Okay.
Gift. So receive gift. And if false, what do I want? Go back to your mom.
Go back to
your mom.
Mom. Okay.
And enter.
Oh,
so if I drag this, see, all those ones are going back to their moms.
Yes. Okay.
So you just tell it what you want it to do.
Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I have some hands raised. Is everyone okay?
Yeah, I want to ask a question, please.
Okay.
Is it possible to combine the 3 of them?
Is it possible to combine
the 3 of them if or if and?
Yeah, depending on what you want to do. So you cannot, it depends on what you want to do. So you can combine your ifs.
Okay, let's use scenario.
Sorry?
I said let's use scenario if the age is younger than 10 or equal to 10 and is in apple class.
And is in apple class. Okay, so so the first thing we need to do is equal to if equal to if let's start with or we're saying this is either less than 10
okay,
comma, or this is equal to 10, right?
Yes.
That's the first one. And then you see how I'm going to build it. I'm going to do and this, comma, this is equal to apple. So I've added and to it. Of course, it's false. And then I'm going to add my if. If, comma, yes, comma, no. If I drag this down, you see that Kim will now get a gift.
Oh.
So you can combine it depending on what you want to do. But I would say do it a step at a time. Build it a step at a time. So we've combined if, and or here. Okay, so the next term has various ifs. So while we can build a statement, a logical statement, we can also use if to sum if a condition is met. So these are standard sum ifs. You can do an average if a condition is met. You can count if a condition is met. So for this one, I have a table that has a city, footballer, favorite color, and their income. And our first question here is, what is the total income of all footballers who like the color red? So there are two conditions here, right? You're a footballer, you like red. No, it's just only one condition. So we need to sum the income of footballers who like red. They're all footballers who like red. It's gonna grab this so I can see. Yeah. Okay. So what we'll use is a sum if. And we're going to do two methods. We're going to type it out and we're going to use the function box. Let's start with the function box. So if we do equal to sum if.
Sum if?
Yeah. So you're basically saying sum if this condition is met. I'm going to open the function box by the side. Okay. And the first thing it's going to ask you for is, so you have the range, you have the criteria, and you have the sum range. So we're going to put in the criteria first and the range for the criteria. So we know that we're looking for footballers who like red. So our range for red is, this is our range. This is our range for red. And we're saying the criteria to look for in this range is red. But instead of typing it in, I have the color. I think I have it by the side here. So I'll just click on red here. And then the sum range. If this condition is met, what do I sum? This is my sum range because we are looking for the income, the total income of footballers who like red. And then okay. And we have 194. If we look at red, if we highlight the red here, if we highlight red, I'm going to highlight red. Yeah, this is under red. Okay. If we add this up manually, so equal to this plus this plus this plus this plus this plus this.
21.
That's 194. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
So that is correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Another way to do this, if you remember, is using a pivot table. So you might want to use a pivot table. This is another way of doing sum if. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So it's sum if. So always know. So if we want to type it in straight without using a function box, as usual, it will prompt you on what you need to put in. So if you do equal to sum if, open a bracket, it's going to ask you for the range. This is our range where our criteria is, comma. Our criteria is red. We're looking for red, comma, and our sum range is here. Enter. And that is it. We have two people raising up their hands. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the data is more than this, do we just select the whole column or we
select the
whole
column?
table?
Select the
Okay.
column. Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
select the column.
That's good. Thank you. Okay.
Just select the column. It's always easier to select the column because a lot of the time your data will be more than this.
More than this, definitely.
Yeah, so just select the column.
Okay.
So that is sum if. And then the next one is sum ifs. And it means that, you have a lot of ifs. So you have a lot of conditions. And you can use sum ifs for a lot of conditions. What we're saying is, if the footballer lives in Paris, likes red, what is the income? So we want footballers that live in Paris and like red. In this case, anyway, let's do it first before we do it manually to check.
Sum ifs.
So it will be sum ifs.
Yes.
Sum ifs, plural.
Yes. Ifs.
Open a bracket. The difference between this one is it will ask you for your sum range first because you can have a lot of, criteria. So what's our sum range? This is our sum range. So we'll put in our sum range. Okay, and comma. And then what's our criteria range 1? The city has to be in Paris, right?
Yeah.
So that's our criteria range 1, comma, has to be Paris.
Okay.
Criteria range 2, the color has to be red. So where's our color column? Has to be color, comma, has to be red. And then we close the bracket and enter. That's 110. If we look at people who like red that live in Paris, that's Paris, that's Paris, that's Paris.
23 plus
Paris,
69,
Paris,
15,
Paris.
50.
I'll make that blue equal to this plus this plus this plus this.
You picked yellow.
160. Oh, yeah, I've picked yellow. Yeah, I've picked yellow. No, this is not part of it.
Yeah, minus 15. That's 110.
I'll take that off.
Yeah, 110.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Let's use a function box for this. Equal to, let's sum ifs.
Sum ifs.
Let's bring our function box. Okay. So that's not for our sum range. So this is our sum range.
Your charger has been disconnected. Larry.
Our criteria range 1, we're looking for the
Paris.
city, right?
Okay, yes.
And our criteria 1 is
red.
Is Paris. No.
Criteria 1 is Paris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Criteria range 2
color
is the color. And criteria 2 is red. Okay. So that's red. Okay. I was expecting it to come up with. No, something is not quite right. Yeah. Can you spot what went wrong with this? Can anyone spot what went wrong? It was our selection. So when you do your selection on your ifs, you have to make sure your selection is the same. If you look at my criteria here, my sum range is from E4 to E18. My criteria is B4 to B18. And the reason why this is incorrect, I've picked D3 here instead of D4, which is why it came up with an error. And then if we do OK, then that should be correct. And you can literally continue. If you put a comma here, it will ask you, you can continue to put all these criteria. I really don't know how many you can put. I've never exhausted it before, but you can continue to put, your criteria depending on what you're doing. No, okay. I don't need another one. So that's sum if. Count if works the same way. You are counting if a condition is met. It's exactly the same way the sum if works, but in this case, you are not summing, you are counting. So it might be that you just want to do like a head count. If you need to sum, you know that you must have numbers before your sum can work. But if you want to count, you can literally count anything. So it depends on what you're doing. In this case, we want how many footballers like the color yellow. If we do equal to count if, open a bracket, our criteria is the color, comma, and we want the number of people who like yellow. Of course, we are not summing, so it won't ask us for a sum range, and then enter. So 4 people like yellow. And we can see from here that we have 4 people who like yellow. So it's really simple count. Count if this condition is met. That's all. And then count ifs work the same way, but in this case, you have more than one criteria, which is we want people who like yellow and who live in California. So it would be count ifs. And of course, we're going to have multiple criteria, count ifs, not count ifs. Yeah. And criteria range 1, if we start with the city, our range for the city is this, comma, and our city, the city where we want is California. We click on California, comma, and then our criteria range 2, we're looking for yellow. So it will be the yellow column, comma, and we're looking for our criteria 2 is yellow, and we close the brackets and enter. We only have one person who lives in California and likes the color yellow, and that would be Declan Rice, yellow California. Is that clear? Are we comfortable with that?
Go over.
Sorry, say that again, please.
Go over with
the count.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's use the formula box. It will be equal to count if. I'm going to bring up the box here.
Open bracket.
Yeah. What's our range? What are we count? So we want to count the number of footballers who like yellow. So our range
color
is our color.
Color. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Yes, count.
And our criteria is yellow.
Yellow. Okay.
And is okay. Is that simple?
That's right. Yeah, just 4 of them.
Yeah.
Let's go to the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we want to use do the count ifs, if we do equal to count ifs, open a bracket. I'm just gonna bring out the function box. Okay. Yeah.
Criteria range 1.
The criteria range 1 is we want someone who lives in
California.
city. No, that's a criteria 1, but that's not our range. So our range is where the city is.
Yes, that's right.
And our criteria would be California. Yeah. And once you do that, it will ask you for your criteria range 2, which is where the color is. And our criteria 2 is yellow. Yeah. And you can see that once you do criteria 2, it would prompt you for criteria 3. So you can continue to put all your criteria until you exhaust what you're doing. And then okay. And that is 1.
1. Yeah. Okay. Who is that on the table?
So that's Declan lives
Declan Rice.
Yeah. Yes. And loves yellow.
That's right. Thank you.
So we have average if. Average if is just as it says, average if this condition is met. So we want an average if this condition is met. And what we're using here is we want the average income in London. And it's simply equal to average if
open bracket.
What is our range?
Criteria city. Criteria the city, yeah.
The
criteria
city,
range 1,
that's our range, yeah.
Yeah.
And our criteria is London, comma. What is our average range?
Income.
That's our average range.
Yeah, the income.
Yes,
and that is it.
Fab.
So the average in London is 72.33
million.
I wish.
I like that.
Please, can you go back?
Okay, so this average if, okay, let's use the box. Let's use the function box. Equal to
average if.
Average if.
Open bracket.
Yeah, let's use it. Let's bring the function box here. So it's looking for what is our range and what is the criteria.
Range is
so
the
our
city.
range is the city.
Okay.
Our criteria is
London
here. Yeah.
Okay.
And average, what are we applying the average to? Is the yearly income. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's okay.
Okay.
So if you change this city, if you change the city to Paris, let me put Paris here and enter. Can you
automatically it changes.
It changes because that is just referencing that cell.
Yes.
Which is why I always say, always select the cell, don't type it in. Because if we've typed in London in this formula, then it won't change. So always reference the cell.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this criteria that we had to write by the side, do we have to bring it out to get it?
This is just the question. You would have the criteria that you want to use.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I cannot select the criteria from the table, from the range. I'll just get stuck with my answer, right?
No, I don't understand. You can select. Okay. So you mean that this here, you want to select it from here?
From Paris, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there's nothing stopping you from selecting it from here. So if you do this, it will be the same thing.
All right.
This is just where we're referencing. So it doesn't matter. As long as you are picking the right criteria, that is my criteria.
If it's from the table or not, okay. Yeah.
So like the criteria here, if I type in Paris, I think I have to put it in.
Has to be in quotes.
Has to be in, yeah. Yes. I have to put it in. Otherwise, it won't work. I have to put the code.
Yeah.
So if I do that, it will still work.
All right.
But the only thing with that is if I now change this to London, it's stuck on Paris because I typed in Paris here.
Yeah,
that's right.
To the formula to change.
Yeah, yeah, which is why it's always good
to type in.
Yeah, not to type in, just to
think it.
Yourself.
Reference
yourself. Because once you set it up once, you can actually use it for different things. It might be like you're setting up a form that people would just like, you've created like a cell, but you've already built the formula behind. So people, they don't even know what is happening. So all you're saying is that, okay, put your city here. And once you put the city there,
average comes out.
Yeah, the average comes out. So your formula is already behind it. They don't even say it. That's New York. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
I think next week we'll continue from where we stopped. So we're going to stop here today.
Okay.
Next week we're going to do if error. And we're going to do some nested ifs.
So sorry, Kevin.
Yeah.
Is there anything like average ifs? Average
I'm
ifs?
sure there is average ifs. Let's see.
In plural, yeah.
There should be average ifs. So let's put another criteria. Let's do color, for instance. we can copy. I'm just going to copy color here. So like we have New York, so that we can see what it's doing. Let's see. Let's put New York here. New York, New York, New York. Pink, yellow. Let's do color. Let's do color. Let's do, we can do yellow. I'm just gonna put, let's put yellow, yellow here. I want it to be different. So I have to, this and this is yellow and New York. Okay, so let's try average ifs. Equal to,
so average ifs.
Average ifs. Yeah.
Open bracket.
Open bracket. So like the ifs, you start with what you're averaging first. So open bracket, that's our average, that's our range.
Range.
No, sorry. Comma. Our criteria range 1 is we want the color yellow.
Color. Okay. So colors.
Let's do yellow. And then yellow.
Criteria yellow too. Okay.
Our criteria 2 range is the city.
City, that's true. City.
Comma.
Okay.
And we want New York.
New York, that's right.
And then we close the bracket. And it's 70. So this is yellow New York. This is yellow New York. The average of this and this is 70.
Oh, yeah.
So if we do like change this to London.
London.
There's nobody in London likes yellow. London. Nobody in London likes yellow. Let's put a yellow in London. And that is it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Thank you. Just wanted to know whether there's average ifs.
Yeah. So we'll continue from here next week.
Thank you.
Please practice. I mean, practice is the only thing with Excel. If you don't use it, you will lose it. You just remember that, oh, I used to know this, but you don't know how to do it anymore. So if you try and use it, and then you won't lose the knowledge. Thanks, everyone. Do we have any questions before we close? Okay. Thanks for participating today.